Following the Great War, the island continent of Salisa was united by a dictator, Dolga Vald. Eventually his tyrannical rule resulted in a democratic uprising. On the dawn of the uprising, President Vald narrowly escaped assassination. Shocked by the momentum of the revolutionaries, he considered fleeing the country. But his second-in-command, Yagurga Zligasad, convinced him to stay and fight. Within a year, the Vald regime had restored its rule over most of the country. In response, the northern holdouts, acknowledging their inevitable defeat, sought foreign aid. On the other side of the world, the Free Union of Aringon, perceiving the Vald regime as a hostile entity, agreed to intervene in the civil war. Within half a year, the Aringonish had liberated half the country. Poorly equipped Vald force was no match against the modern Aringonish army. In desperation, Dolga Vald resorted to begging Aringon's enemies for help. The call was answered by the arch-nemesis of Aringon, the People's Republic of Rosing, commonly referred to as the PRR. The PRR had been seeking to expand its influence in Salisa for quite some time, and President Vald's plea provided them with a much-needed excuse for their involvement. Due to the Rosinjanese army's inferiority compared to the Aringonish forces, they sought to compensate for the quality gap by deploying a significantly larger number of troops. The overwhelming numbers committed by Rosing forced the Aringonish forces to retreat northward and assume a defensive position. The Aringonish military command concluded that they would need to double their commitment in order to resume the offensive. However, such change would require the parliament's approval. The war had become an economic strain, and instead of approving reinforcements, the Parliament of Aringon did the opposite. They withdrew half the expeditionary force from Salisa. The burden now fell on the shoulders of the democratic rebels. Meanwhile, the tensions between Dolga Vald and the Rosinjanese troops had become tense. President Vald began fearing Rosing's imperial ambitions and limited Rosing's resources. He also began modernizing his own army. His second-in-command, Yagurga Zligasad, gained Rosing's favor. Vald's suspicions were well-founded. The Rosinjanese troops were indeed preparing a coup, hoping to replace the capricious Vald with docile Zligasad. However, Vald learned of the plan and moved quickly. With haste, his new modern army was able to disarm a considerable amount of Rosinjanese soldiers. The remaining Rosinjanese forces retreated to East Salika, where they founded the puppet state of Dagaisa, Yagurga Zligasad, serving as its figurehead. And so the recently united continent of Salisa succumbed to the endless conflict between three factions.